Let me tell you about an era of a great war where many warriors were born. Some jumped their way and some stashed their way to becoming great icons to the world. Now, who am I talking about? Sega and Nintendo. What if I told you the battle between Sega and Nintendo from back in the day was told in anime form? What if I told you there's a retelling of the story of both franchises battling it out, but in a whole new, unique way? They may look different in the anime, but you can obviously tell who they are just from looking at them. Could this be the best anime about retro video games and retro video game characters? Well, that's why you're here, and we'll tell you more about it.
What's up guys, I'm Christina.
And I'm Chris.
And welcome to Average Anime Reviews, where we get to be reviewing some of our favorite animes that we have watched in the previous season. Now before we get started, just so you guys know, there's going to be a few spoilers here and there in this review, so please take some precaution.
And this week's anime we will be reviewing is Aoi Sekai Chuushin de, which in English means
World War Blue.
Now I know what you guys are thinking. Just by hearing those names, you guys know where I'm going with this. Yes, it does explore the fight between Sega and Nintendo themselves, but not actually saying the real franchises' names themselves. As you can see by the beginning of this anime, this war has been going on for a very long time, to a point that lives have been lost and everything is all distraught and in vain. And for that reason, it has caused one person from the Sega Kingdom to get his revenge against the Nintendo Empire for the death of one of his very close friends. And within those episodes of the anime, you can see how they're trying to regain their strength and trying to learn new powers to make sure that they are ready for their next battle. This anime also explores the other kingdoms that were involved during the war. However, they're not really mentioned a lot, especially one where they kind of mention Atari. Even though they didn't actually say it, but there was a reference to it, and it also explains where they are now. With this anime, it's really short. In all honesty, it's actually one of the shortest animes that I've ever watched because it's only 3 episodes, which is very surprising. And with this anime, you can see there's a lot of action, there's a lot of drama too, and you can see that trying to have the revenge and trying to take over the kingdom is pretty sweet.
Now in this anime, there are a lot of characters that they introduce, but we're only going to talk about one character who really stood out the most, and that is Gear. Now, as Christina mentioned, his passion to join the Sega army is the fact that his partner, his best friend, Till, who died because of Nintendo soldiers. So he obviously had a reason to fight the Nintendo army. Now, what could I tell you about Gear other than his passion? Well, he's a very powerful character, and that's pretty much all I can say. He's very passionate about winning this army, but other than that, that's pretty much it. Now, there was a hinted relationship between Gear and Opal, but they didn't really flesh that out a lot. You see him save her a couple of times, and it's obviously that there's some feelings between them, but other than that, that's pretty much it, what they show. Now, there are many characters in this anime that they barely talked about. So instead of talking about the relationships and the personalities of the characters that were very little shown in this series, we're going to talk about more of the characters that they're referencing from the actual franchises. Now, I'll go through a quick rundown of which characters that they show in this anime. You have Gear, who obviously represents Sonic the Hedgehog. You have Nell, who represents Phantasy Star 2. You have Till, who obviously represents Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog. You have Ramses, who represents the game Columns, which I thought was kind of weird that they created a character based off of a puzzle game, and there are other characters like that in this anime. You have Tejirov, who represents Tetris. You have General Alex, who they barely show in the anime, but they still mention him, and he's from Alex the Kid. You have Opal, who represents Fantasy Zone. And you also have Harris, who represents the game Space Harrier. Now, in the Nintendo side, it's kind of obvious who they are if you just look at how their character design is. But the characters that they show are all your favorites. You have Marcus from Super Mario Bros. You have Zelig, who obviously represents The Legend of Zelda. And lastly, you have Luigi, who obviously represents Luigi from Super Mario Brothers. Now they do have other characters in this anime that they have representing. You have the people from Tato Land, who is obviously from Taito. And as Christina mentions, they also hint of the story between Atari and their era of video games and their downfall. Now, is there more characters that they're referencing? Yes. So if I missed out on any other characters, feel free to leave in the comments below of who I forgot to mention. Now overall, what did I think about this anime? Do I think it's the greatest anime of all time? No. Do I think it's the greatest anime that best represents the battle between Sega and Nintendo? I guess so. It's not that bad. I give it props for telling a story about two video game franchises as two kingdoms battling it out. But there's so many issues with this series itself. For one thing, it's only 3 episodes. Now, I did enjoy this anime, but 3 episodes is just not enough to tell this entire story between two powerful franchises back in the day. And as I mentioned, all the characters that they reference, they barely use any of them to do anything in the story. In the last episode, they mostly show all of them in one episode. They don't do anything other than hearing the mention of a character that's from the Sega Kingdom that's going to be changing the game in this war. I thought that this anime could have been better. They could have done more battles between Gear and the other warriors of the Nintendo Kingdom. They focused more on being ecchi than actually telling a story. All I can say is that the characters are memorable because the way that they depict them in this series is just almost laughable but awesome at the same time. If I could recommend this to people, well, I could recommend it for people who just want to see how these characters are depicted and to also spot out what characters are shown in this series, because I know there's more of them.
Now, what I thought about the anime? Well, it was really interesting to see how an anime can tell the story between two of the biggest franchises in gaming history. I find it also very hilarious how they're able to give weird and funny names for some of these characters and for the empires themselves. And overall, everyone, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.
If you watch this anime, whether you're an anime fan or a video game fan, what did you think of the anime itself? Did you think it was a good telling of the story between two franchises? Whatever you want to say, leave it down in the comments below.
Plus, if you guys really want to learn more about the story and main characters, I'll be sure to leave the links down below, as well as a written anime review written by me.
Now, if you want to watch this anime for yourself, we'll be sure to leave a link down in the description for you guys to watch this cringiness and greatness of an anime series.
And once again, everyone, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you next time at the next Average Anime Review. Take care! Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this week's Average Anime Review. If you guys really enjoyed this week's anime review, then click that like button down below. And if you're new to the channel and want to see more anime reviews, then click that subscribe button down below. If you guys are new and want to see more anime reviews that we've done in the past, then click on the links on the left. And once again, everyone, thank you so much for watching. We hope you have a great day and take care.